To me, I think one of the cardinal rules of good, honest reporting is to get down and not take things at face value, not even take anything that you would tell me at face value, but to be skeptical about it until I can see reason not to be, but not to print anything until I've at least investigated the thing honestly and squarely. And I feel that in this situation, the newspapers in California have definitely failed in this particular thing. They have only taken that which is scandalous, coming from, at best, very questionable sources, obviously from a person who has an axe to grind, and everyone who has an axe to grind, and they fail to look at the end results that are taking place or that are occurring within this church. And this is what I cannot for the life of me understand to pass off as journalism, both by newspapers and by the television media itself.
Well, you know that one of the things that they are after is an attempt to take our program off of television, because it's pretty hard to tell stories about something when someone is looking at it, you know. Right. If they're not before the public's eye, and you can tell a lot of things about it. But when people are looking at something, it's pretty hard to make a person believe that they're not seeing what they're seeing, or that they are not hearing what they're really hearing. So, again, this is another dangerous move, because irregardless, now I am a fundamental Christian. I believe in a born-again experience. I don't believe in ritualism. I don't believe in any of those things. So naturally, I would be at one end of the spectrum to the other with Catholicism. But still, I would say the moment that Catholicism was even questioned in the United States of America, if your religious rights, your freedoms are questioned today, then mine will be tomorrow. But I see this, Bill, this is prophecy. And you know, like I said, that it really shook up an awful lot of people in California that was aware of what was going on. Bill, you know, people can bring all sorts of accusations against anyone. You know, that doesn't...
It's very easy to tear down.
For heaven's sakes. I mean, that's one of the easiest things in the world. And even in families, Jesus said that he didn't come to bring peace, but a sword. And you take in every family. It doesn't make any difference who it is. And he told us that you would see children rise up against their parents, you would see a separation, that you would see the daughters rise up against the mothers, that you would see a split out, a breakout in families, and all of these things. And it has been since the beginning of Christianity. There isn't anything new about it. It's an old story. Sure. And Satan doesn't care whose flesh or what flesh he uses today. He's going to use any flesh that he can use against the gospel in any way that he possibly can, to degrade or defame or tear down in any way that he can do it. And I think that people thinking, you know, generally, that people realize in the churches. And another thing, why, for heaven's sakes, you see, it's a repeat performance in every church that someone has come out of another church, and seldom do they ever come out of any church that they have anything good to say about it. You know, when a person comes to our church and said, oh, I'm from a church over here and over there, and oh, let me tell you, they're really bad over there. You know, I really want to get out of that. I say to Tony, I don't care where they get out of it and go to, just make sure they don't get in here. Because if they get in here, they're going to do the same thing here that they did where they came from. And
leave the bad habits behind.
Oh, absolutely. I think any pastor of a church realizes and knows that, you know, and I think the whole world is aware of it. You could go into any church and you'll see men who have studied in theological seminaries. You see men who have studied for the priesthood, and something they decided in their lives that this wasn't what they wanted. And often I have heard, and I'm sure that you have, that they don't have very nice things to say about the the theological seminaries that they were in, if they have decided not to become a minister or a priest, if he decides not to become a priest. I think that intelligent people just simply take this at face value and realize that they have their personal reasons for this, and that it isn't that all important, you know, to the whole world in general, and that still these religious freedoms must continue, and that people must be given a choice, a
right.
freedom of choice, to make a choice
Right.
of what religion they are to choose.
Absolutely, and if we erode that at any point, I think we are in very serious danger, and it has been the weakness of many, many countries down through history, as you pointed out earlier, and we need to protect that at every instance.
Well, I think that every minister and every pastor out there should certainly realize the dangers of what is happening. And any religious programming that is interfered with, any religious programming that is taken off the airways, any churches, any groups, any denominations that are scandalized and such terrible, terrible attacks are made upon, should be frightening to them. Because you're next. You are next. It doesn't make any difference what your church, what your denomination, or how big or powerful you may feel that your church or your denomination is. Because when this thing starts, it picks off one after the other as fast as it can go. But I see it as a born-again Christian as the closing days of this dispensation of time. I believe with all my heart and soul that Jesus Christ is coming back to earth again. And I believe that there is a genuine move to move us all into a one-world church and have Big Brother tell us what is the right and wrong way, or the dangerous or the good way to worship God. And I believe that that's what these attacks are all about. And I believe that they are insidiously dangerous to you, to your welfare, irregardless of what your personal beliefs are. Because it can't be this way. Every man, every woman, and every child, yes, even child, must have a right to worship God according to the dictates of his or her own heart, without any interference from the laws or from senators or legislators. If we are to have freedom in America, this is where it begins, is with freedom of religion. Mr. Willoughby, I'm so glad that you came. And as always, you're always tremendously interesting to talk to and to listen to. The one thing that is so interesting about you is that you're a part of that controlled news media that's controlled by God. And I think that's the most beautiful thing in the world. And to see you as editor of religion at the Washington Star, and to read your column as you really stay in there for the fundamental faiths that our fathers died for, and to uphold, and you have really fought to reestablish in people's faith in Jesus Christ. And I believe that the Lord is going to use you in a greater way than he has ever used you before. That irregardless of what would come against you, or what could be, what tomorrow could hold, that you are in the palm of his big nail-scarred hand, and you know who holds tomorrow. And I just believe that the Lord, with you and your wife Van both, one of these days you're going to be out on this old holy roller trail just as surely as can be, and out really, you have had young people in your home, and you have been doing quite a Christian work there in your home, haven't you?
It's one of the most delightful things in the world to see, to take a child, a youth who has just gone down one bum trip after another, and suddenly get hold of the reality of the gospel of Jesus Christ and give it a try. And this is not one of those fads. This is not one of those things that quickly passes away as many of the other fads. It's not one of those things that does harm to the individual. It's something that sticks with the person because, first of all, there is the Holy Spirit that enters into the individual. And you just don't shake the Holy Spirit like you shake a fad. And here is the real difference. To me, that's the dynamic of the real, genuine aspect of the Jesus movement. And I've been an enthusiast for it because I know that this has the earmarks, by and large, of the Holy Spirit's moving. And as far as being in the news media, don't ever tell my newspaper that's what I'm doing, that I'm out there trying to persuade men of Jesus Christ. But because I am persuaded of Jesus Christ, I'm not trying to cram him down somebody's throat, but at least I can write from the perspective of one who does know Jesus and know the validity of his teachings, the validity of the salvation that he offers. And therefore it does give, I'm sure, just a different ring to what I write. And I also know that I think my newspaper would cringe if they knew some of the results that have happened because of things that I've written. And if they ever knew that some men got healing ministry as a result of it in Washington, and that a number of people have...
What do you mean if they know? If you think they're not going to know after this?
I'm just slipping it to them gently now. But no, it's one of the end results. You cannot be one who believes in the gospel and write with that kind of conviction without something happening. I believe it's not myself naturally, because I'm not trying to preach. I would think it would be wrong in a newspaper. But
no,
I think it's the Holy Spirit does.
No, you do. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be a party to your foolishness. You do.
Okay.
Bill, would you consider yourself a Jesus freak?
Oh, if I got in trouble once. The competition newspaper took a picture of me with my arms folded like this. And if I'd have known what they were going to do, I'd never done it. And they put under it, "I'm freaked out on Jesus." Well, I never talked that way in my life. I'm rather, at least I
now, don't say conservative, because if you do, then we're going to get into another scene.
I just don't like the flamboyant in my religious conversation as such. But by the same token, if being freaked out on Jesus means that you are convinced that he is the one in whom the riddles of the universe are settled, the one who can make life have meaning, the one that can order your life aright, well, then I'm freaked out on Jesus in that case.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. So. Bill, we're running short of time, but do we just have about 1 minute left? But I wanted to ask you this before, and there's been so many areas we've tried to cover in such a short space of time. You have to come back again, and so that we can go into other areas. I wanted to ask you about the Noah's Ark thing. You did go over there, didn't you?
Oh, no, I couldn't make it up there, Malin, if I wanted to. But no, I firmly believe on the evidence of Navarre and others that certainly that which is up there must be the ark. I believe, first of all, the scriptures. I believe that it is the ark, and therefore...
you believe it's exactly as the Genesis account of it?
Oh yes, I don't have any doubt about that. It'd have to be a bigger hoax than the story of the ark itself, whatever's up there.
Well, it's all over for this time, but there is room at the cross for you. That's what these telecasts are all about. That's what we as born-again Christians are here for. To make you to know that there is room at the cross for you. Lord bless you.
Tony and Susan Alamo program has come to you from the Grand Ole Opry House in Nashville, Tennessee.
This program was recorded on August the 27th, 1974.